The Eagles' offensive coordinator search has quietly shifted into a much more complicated phase, and the direction it's taking says a lot about how Philadelphia is viewing the next version of this offense. The early excitement around big-name targets has faded, dominoes have fallen, and now the board looks very different than it did when this process began. From the outside, it might feel underwhelming, but inside the building, the picture is becoming clearer. The Eagles are no longer chasing headlines. They're chasing fit, development, and long-term stability for the offense. The first major turn came when Buffalo promoted Joe Brady to head coach. For a while, Brady felt like the type of modern offensive mind that could maximize what Philadelphia already has. Once Todd Monken was no longer available, Brady became a top option for many people watching this search. But that door closed quickly. Buffalo shocked a lot of observers by promoting from within, and just like that, one of the most appealing names disappeared from the Eagles' radar. That mattered because once Brady was gone, the remaining pool shifted from premium options to a much riskier mix of experience, projection, and unknown ceilings. Shortly after that, another candidate came off the list when the Titans moved forward with Brian Daboll as their offensive coordinator. Once his head coaching opportunity with the Raiders didn't materialize, there was some belief that Philadelphia might still be able to lure him, but realistically, money isn't always the deciding factor for coaches who were recently head coaches. Daboll's choice makes sense when you look at it through a career lens. Tennessee is in a spot where expectations are low and improvement is easy to measure. If Daboll believes in Cam Ward even a little, taking a bad offense and pushing it toward the middle of the league suddenly turns him into the guy who fixed a young quarterback. That's the type of narrative that gets coaches back into head coaching conversations. In Philadelphia, the standard is already high. Success can be dismissed as roster-driven, while failure is magnified. From that angle, Tennessee offers a cleaner runway than a team that just played at the top of the conference. That's why emotional reactions about the Eagles losing Daboll miss part of the story. This isn't always about who pays more. It's about where a coach can best reshape his reputation. And in Philly, the bar isn't low. You're not rebuilding. You're expected to compete immediately, and that changes how candidates view the job. With those two names gone, the Eagles leaned into what they always do, widening the net. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are known for exhaustive processes. They talk to everyone, gather scheme tendencies, communication styles, and leadership approaches, and then slowly compress the list. It's not flashy, but it's consistent with how they hired Doug Peterson, who wasn't anyone's top choice and won a Super Bowl, and Nick Sirianni, who came out of nowhere and took the team to multiple Super Bowls. The process looks unconventional, but history says Philadelphia is comfortable betting on structure over hype. One of the more interesting developments is the attention on Packers quarterbacks coach Sean Mannion. He's only 33, has just 2 seasons of coaching experience, and has never been a primary play caller, which are real red flags for some fans. But his background is quietly impressive. As a player, he spent time learning under offensive minds like Sean McVay, Kevin Stefanski, Clint Kubiak, Dave Canales, Kevin O'Connell, and Matt LaFleur. That's a wide range of systems and philosophies. In Green Bay, he's worked directly under LaFleur while helping guide Jordan Love to a career year, and watching Malik Willis show real improvement. Coaches around the league describe Mannion as someone who takes extreme ownership of his role and knows how to communicate with quarterbacks. The risk is obvious. Projection without play-calling proof. But the upside is also there. And history reminds us the last time the Eagles hired a Packers quarterbacks coach without play-calling experience, it worked out pretty well with Andy Reid. As of now, out of roughly 15 candidates linked to the job, 9 are already off the board. What's left is a blend of experience and uncertainty. Jim Bob Cooter remains in the mix with over 15 years of NFL coaching experience and connections to Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen. There's at least some belief that Steichen's influence could echo into the offense if someone from that tree is involved, even if Cooter himself didn't call plays for him directly.
There's Matt Nagy, who feels like the highest floor but lowest ceiling option. He has experience, but historically his offenses tend to stagnate the longer he's in control, and in Kansas City, Andy Reid was the real driver. There's also Josh Grizzard, whose Tampa Bay offense dropped significantly in production after he took over, even accounting for injuries, and on film, the play calling didn't inspire much confidence. 2 other names still floating are former Dolphins offensive coordinator Frank Smith, who had experience but didn't call plays under Mike McDaniel, and Texans quarterbacks coach Gerard Johnson, which would feel like a major reach at this stage. None of these scream certainty, and that's why the process started to feel uncomfortable for fans watching from the outside. But here's where things quietly get interesting. The Jets are working toward hiring Frank Reich, which means they're parting ways with Tanner Engstrand. Last season was Engstrand's first year as a full play caller, and considering the quarterback instability and limited talent, he performed better than many expected. His offense ranked among the lowest in predictability while still maintaining explosive play potential. That puts him statistically in the same quadrant as names like Ben Johnson, Todd Monken, Clint Kubiak, and Matt LaFleur. That's not nothing. Before the Jets, Engstrand was the Lions' passing game coordinator under Ben Johnson. That alone matters. Detroit's offense became one of the most respected systems in football, and Engstrand was part of building route concepts that actually create separation. Last season, the Jets ranked 4th in the NFL in average yards of separation on intermediate routes. For an Eagles offense that sometimes struggled to consistently scheme receivers open, that detail stands out. Now imagine what that could look like with DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown if he's still here, and Dallas Goedert operating in space. There's also momentum from beat writers suggesting that candidates like Declan Doyle and Charlie Weiss Jr. had legitimate steam earlier, and Engstrand fits that same developmental mold. He understands mobile quarterbacks, game management, situational football, and how to marry a base offense with what players actually do well. At this point, with Joe Brady gone and the list shrinking, Engstrand feels like one of the most logical upside plays still available. So now the Eagles are sitting in a strange but revealing spot. They've missed on some early favorites, crossed off more than half their list, and shifted into a phase where the decision won't be about name recognition, but about how the next coordinator can evolve the offense instead of just maintain it. The front office is gathering intel, weighing risk versus ceiling, and deciding whether they want safety, familiarity, or a real swing at modernizing the scheme around their personnel. That's where things stand right now for Philadelphia's offense, and the next move will tell us a lot about how aggressive or conservative this organization really wants to be with the future of the unit. So from your perspective as a fan, which direction would you rather see the Eagles take with this offensive coordinator hire? Because once you get past the surface names, the real question for the Eagles becomes philosophical. Are they trying to protect the floor of the offense, or are they trying to raise the ceiling? And that distinction matters more than any single resume bullet point. Philadelphia isn't in a rebuild. This roster is built to compete now, which means the coordinator choice can't just be safe. It has to actively make the offense harder to defend, more adaptive, and more unpredictable than what we saw when things stalled. If the Eagles go the conservative route, that's where names like Matt Nagy or Jim Bob Cooter fit. With Nagy, you're getting structure, experience, and a sense of organization. You're not getting innovation. His best year came early, and historically, the longer he calls plays, the more static the offense becomes. In Kansas City, Andy Reid was the engine, not Nagy. So in Philadelphia, the concern isn't whether Nagy can run an offense, it's whether he can elevate one. With the talent already on this roster, just being functional isn't enough. The Eagles don't need a manager, they need a designer. Cooter is a bit different. His value isn't flash, it's familiarity. He's worked with Nick Sirianni, has ties to Shane Steichen, and understands the ecosystem of the building. That's appealing if the goal is continuity. Some inside the fan base still look back at the 2022 offense as the gold standard, and anything that feels remotely connected to that structure gets attention. The reality, though, is that Cooter wasn't the play caller for Steichen. He's more of a connector than a driver. So again, the question becomes whether Philly wants comfort or whether they want growth. Then you look at the projection plays. Sean Mannion is fascinating because he represents the modern coaching pipeline. Young, quarterback-focused, exposed to elite offensive minds, and praised for communication and ownership. The Eagles clearly value how coaches teach, not just what they call. Jordan Love's growth and Malik Willis's improvement didn't happen in a vacuum. Mannion was part of that process. The risk is obvious. No real play-calling resume. Handing a Super Bowl caliber offense to someone without that experience is betting on traits, not proof. But Philadelphia has done that before. Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni weren't safe hires at the time either. The organization has a track record of trusting process over popularity, and that's why the Engstrand angle quietly looms larger the deeper you look at it. His profile fits what the Eagles say they want, not just what fans react to emotionally. He comes from the Ben Johnson tree, which is built on spacing, timing, and making life easier for quarterbacks instead of harder. With the Jets, even with inconsistent quarterback play, his offense avoided predictability and still generated explosives. That matters. Defensive coordinators live off tendencies. The harder you are to diagnose pre-snap, the more answers you force after the ball is snapped. One stat from his time stands out for Philadelphia specifically: wide receiver separation on intermediate routes. The Jets ranked near the top of the league there. That's not about talent alone. That's design. That's route layering, motion, leverage, and understanding how to attack coverage rules. For an Eagles offense that sometimes relied too much on winning individual matchups instead of creating them, that's a philosophical upgrade, not just a schematic tweak. Engstrand also brings something that doesn't show up in box scores: situational awareness, game management, field position thinking, knowing when you're playing for points versus control. Coaches who come from that background tend to reduce wasted drives. They understand when a 5-yard concept is more valuable than chasing a low-percentage shot. That's how good offenses stay efficient over an entire season, not just explosive on highlights. So when you zoom out, the Eagles' search starts to make more sense. They didn't just miss on Joe Brady and Dable and panic. They adjusted. They crossed off names, gathered more intel, and shifted toward candidates who align with how they want the offense to evolve, not just survive. It's not about replacing a coordinator. It's about redefining what the Eagles' offense is supposed to look like when defenses are specifically built to stop it. Philadelphia already has the pieces. The next coordinator's job isn't to reinvent the roster, it's to unlock it consistently. That means better spacing, better sequencing, better answers on third down, and fewer stretches where the offense feels stuck in neutral. Whoever gets the job will be asked to marry the core identity with adaptability, because in this league, staying the same is the fastest way to fall behind. And that's why this hire is bigger than just a name. It's a signal about whether the Eagles want stability, familiarity, or evolution. Every candidate left represents a different version of that future, and the choice they make will tell us what kind of offense Philadelphia believes wins in the next phase of this team. And another layer to this that fans can't ignore is how this hire connects directly to the quarterback and the long-term offensive identity. This isn't just about calling plays on Sunday. It's about shaping how the Eagles attack defenses for the next several seasons. Every coordinator left on the board brings a different philosophy about rhythm, aggressiveness, and how much control the quarterback has at the line of scrimmage. One of the quiet problems the Eagles' offense ran into was sequencing. There were drives where talent carried the unit, and others where the structure didn't help anyone. You'd see explosive plays followed by long stretches where the offense felt predictable. Defenses weren't always outplaying Philly, they were out-anticipating them. That's what modern coordinators try to eliminate. The goal isn't just big plays, it's constant stress on coverage rules. When a defense can't comfortably sit in one answer, you control the game flow. That's why the Eagles are clearly paying attention to how candidates teach spacing, motion, and leverage. With someone like Mannion, the appeal is how he communicates concepts to quarterbacks. He's been in quarterback rooms his entire life. He understands protections, timing, footwork, and progression structures. Jordan Love didn't just improve statistically, he looked more comfortable in where the ball was supposed to go. That comes from coaching clarity. If the Eagles believe